Ioana Talk Plants? Here on the Pacific Rim Institute, second half of April. Rhubarb, scientific name, genus, Rheum. Family, Polygonaceae, or Polygonaceae. Cousins, buckwheat, genus Fagopirum, from which we use the seeds, and when ground into a flour, it could be used as wheat flour, hence the name buckwheat. But since it's not in the Poaceae or grass family, it does not contain gluten, so people that are not able to eat gluten can still enjoy buckwheat. And sorrel, genus Rumex, from which we use leaves fresh in salads or cooked in soups. From rhubarb, we can use only the petiole, this very large leaf stalk, not the leaf blade. And even though the roots were used medicinally, there is no scientific support for their medicinal use. The petioles can be crimson, pink, or just plain green. And that is due to the amount of anthocyanins and the variety and the way they are cultivated. And usually people prefer them colorful. They add something to this vegetable, which is mostly enjoyed as a fruit in pies or crumbles or compotes or jelly or a jam, or simply stewed with sugar or other sweetener and made into a sauce, which can be a great addition to almost any ice cream, if you like tart, and it is tart. Apparently nowadays nobody cares for rhubarb anymore. And that is surprising, as in medieval Europe, rhubarb, which was imported from Asia, was more expensive than other very valuable plant and plant products, such as cinnamon and opium, which are also imported from Asia on the Silk Road. Due to its high demand for, in particular, apothecaries for its root for medicinal properties, that unfortunately don't have any scientific support nowadays. Why don't we use these giant triangular leaves of rhubarb? It's because they contain oxalic acid, as well as, probably even more poisonous, anthraquinone glycosides. You would need to eat about 4 to 8 kilograms or 9 to 16 pounds as an adult human in one sitting to be lethal. So the leaves contain oxalic acid, which is also present in rumex or sorrel, in which we use actually the leaves. Even spinach contains small amounts of oxalic acid, which is a nephrotoxin. So continuous usage of high oxalic acid foods can lead to kidney damage or kidney stones. But none of us eat too much rhubarb, maybe just a little bit in the season. And speaking about the season, here in the Pacific Northwest of North America, they apparently can crop rhubarb twice, late April and through May, and again June through July. And one reason for it is because it really likes colder springs. And here you have colder springs. And not only that, but also there is no late frost, or that's a rare occasion. And speaking about cold, apparently if even the petioles are exposed to extreme colds, the leaves will move some of the oxalates into the petiole, which would be damaging. So if your rhubarb is affected by a severe cold, don't consume it that year anymore. But speak about that, it is a perennial, so it will come back. It survives winter through rhizomes, underground storage stems, very similar to the ones we consume when we eat ginger and turmeric. And eventually it will bolt and produce a very large inflorescence with tiny reddish green flowers. Someone actually already picked this one. Since we're not interested in flowers, we don't want it to bolt. We want all the energy that will go into this sexual reproduction, really large inflorescence. We want it to stay into the leaves to catch more energy to put into the rhizomes for next year's growth. And then we want large petioles or the leaf stalk, which is what we really consume. So I'm told that today nobody wants rhubarb anymore because it takes sugar and flour, wheat flour. Usually we make it into a pie, always associated with strawberries. So the anthocyanin in the petioles, it's water soluble, so it can cook away, it can wash away when you cook it. Because it overlaps with the strawberry season, it's a good combination in between strawberry and rhubarb. It adds some sweetness to the sour rhubarb, and the rhubarb adds more fiber to an otherwise a very delicious strawberry. Since it was mentioned in Shenung's Chinese traditional herbals, which was collected about 1800 years ago, it is pretty safe to say that this plant is an Asian plant and probably Chinese plant. And it was introduced in Europe as early as 14th century. And due to its high demand for, in particular, apothecaries for its root for medicinal properties, that unfortunately don't have any scientific support nowadays. By 18th century, there are at least 2 species of rhubarb cultivated in particular in England and Scandinavia, which have the right conditions to cultivate a colder-loving plant, specifically because we don't want it to get straight to blooming. We want it to produce large leaves with large petioles. And these 2 species were Rheum raponticum and Rheum rhabarbarum. And eventually there is also a hybrid of unknown origin, Rheum hybridum. Cultivars of rhubarb are tetraploids having 44 chromosomes in comparison to other wild species of the genus Rheum. It was also introduced in North America about 18th century. And today the highest production of rhubarb in North America comes from the Pacific Northwest, with Washington state producing commercially about a half of all the North American rhubarb. What can you do with it? Apparently you can eat them raw, fresh, like celery petioles, or you can cut it in small pieces and saute it with sugar or the sweetener of your choice, honey maybe, or stevia, maybe some other thickeners. And you can either use it in a pie or crumble, or just the plain sauce that you can complement a really good vanilla ice cream, for example. It's mostly water, 94% water, 5% carbohydrates, 1% protein, negligent amounts of fat. It is a good source of vitamin K, a moderate source of vitamin C, and like most fruits and vegetables, it does provide fiber. So cautions: eating too much of any vegetable like spinach and sorrel and even the petioles, not even the leaves, of rhubarb can bring in too much oxalic acid, or even worse, anthraquinone glycosides. Otherwise, I hope you'll enjoy some rhubarb from your own garden, like here at the Pacific Rim Institute, or a friend or a farmer's market, and once in a while indulge in some kind of a concoction that includes rhubarb petiole. What can you do with it? Apparently you can eat them